G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'm Nat, this is my Knackers Yard. My voice is back, at least for now. I don't know how long it's going to last, but let's get back on Mick, the XJ650. Supervised by the dog, as usual. He's looking for dog walkers, because she's desperate to go and say hello. I did a bit of pissing around last night. Now, one of the unfortunate side effects of being on antibiotics is not being able to have a beer, which is a bit weird on a Friday evening. It's normally my go-to to wind down from the week. But what I found myself doing was making a box. Stupid evening. I shouldn't be sober, I'm dangerous. So looking at relocating the battery, looking at thinning out this mass of stuff at the back. One of you guys came up with a very good point about orientation of batteries, and if you're going to place it on its side, it needs to be, AGM gel or a lithium battery. I thought, oh, it is a gel battery, but it's not actually. The recent gel battery I bought was for blue because they have power issues, they have stator issues. I'm going to have to replace the stator at some point, and I'm intentionally going to buy a cheap one and monitor it and see how it goes. Intentionally and tightly, but that's a future thing. Probably in the next couple of weeks or so I'll do that, but that's a gel battery, that isn't, so this can't be orientated on its side. It's also fucking huge. It's a 12 ampere hour battery, so it is quite a chunky battery actually for a relatively small-ish bike. But what I did find was looking around and going for like gel batteries that get a tiny bit smaller. I don't think that's an acid battery, but get a tiny bit smaller, but it's still a lot to hide. Whereas looking at lithium ion ones, as you can tell, lithium ion, they don't weigh anything. Look at that, it's brilliant. I was just pissing around really. I thought, well, sat in front of the telly, made up a box. I was looking for a box around the same size, but now I think, tagged on the back, you're getting no benefit of that at all, but actually that builds up my seat nice and highly. Now I've looked at a few versions like this and they've gone for a completely flat track, which looks great, but the issue that you have, particularly in the UK, is where you put your number plate. Speaking of which, I was looking at it thinking, well, if I'm going to go for like a black theme on the bike, I could go for a black and silver number plate because it's an old bike, because it's a historic bike. No, the rules have changed again, and not everyone knows this. So, oh Christ, 5-6 years ago, UK government changed the law on black and white number plates. It used to be before 1973, I think, you could have a black and white number plate. They then accidentally changed it when they changed the historic tax rules, and basically anything over 40 years old could have a black and white number plate. They've changed that 2 years ago, I think, 2001, and it's now effectively, if it's registered before the 1st of January 1980, it can have a black plate. So this can't. It is registered, built in 1980, but not 1st of January. So it's going to be a yellow plate. Which is a bit of a pisser actually. I'm slightly annoyed because a black and white plate would have looked awesome, but it's all about where you can mount the plate. So I can have a lovely, relatively flat black back profile. I am going to have to leave a bit of space, obviously, like I have there for the swing arm to swing. But I need a bit of a plate for the plate. So my thinking is, and I've not done this yet, I'm doing it live because you're joining me thinking, which isn't normally a group sport. This isn't a plate from the bike. What's this from? Oh, it's from the Shiver. You know, if I've got something built up to hold that battery, it holds the plate up there, which actually is probably not far off what I'm after. That's my thinking. Let's bring it around here a little bit. Oh, look at that, might even stay a bitch. There you go. So I don't think that's all that far off. That's a little bit tight there, but you know, if I get rid of that bottom piece, which is just an advert anyway. So I think I'm going lithium as far as batteries are concerned. We'll have to see how that works out in the long term. I know there are issues with lithium batteries, less than there were over utilisation, etc. I was worried about charging because I had read about it needing a different charger. It does, it just can't use one of the old retro ones, and I do have some more modern chargers that will work. That wasn't my concern. My concern was, well, if it's not charging off, you can't charge it off a standard battery charger, well, how does the bike recharge it? But that doesn't seem to be as much of an issue as I initially thought. So anyway, let's get on with it. What I'm going to do is get the carb off today, see if I can sort out that high idle, which I think I know what the problem is, and I'll see how I get on to see if I can get rid of that airbox and just start thinning out that area. So put my little fake battery away, we get rid of the plate, take the tank off, and then start digging this carb out. Right, so there we go, that's stripped off. I've just basically pulled the manifolds out, chucked them down the side. Hey, what are you doing, dog? Lady, what are you doing? Yeah, tank off, seat off, etc. Hot air blower. I mean, these aren't bad. They're still pretty, you know, rubber as far as rubber's concerned, but a little bit of heat, if they start feeling a bit brittle, a little bit of heat goes quite a long way. Let's see if I can rock these bad boys off. Right. Just drop you around the other side. Hopefully my camera won't fall over again. Oh, they're full of fuel, so I need to be a little bit careful. Right, here we go, and they're off. So I'll keep them upright at the moment, but I mean, not sure how much you can see, but the idle isn't even on. So yeah, had a good, what, 3 full twists before it even engaged. So I need to have a look at that. But I need to drain it first, so I'm going to do that off shot because it's mucky more than anything else. Get that done. Right, just to drop you back in, I managed to wheedle out that airbox, damage it, which is a little bit annoying, but it's nothing that can't be fixed, repaired or whatever. I'll keep it for now, see how I go. Starting to see the effect. Look at that, that really opens it up. I didn't quite realise the battery box was separate, but that's quite handy because it means I can get all that shite out of the way without having to worry about dropping the battery on the floor or running longer leads, etc, etc. Right, I'm going to start breaking into that carb, I think. I'll start off without you because I'm at a good point in my audiobook. Right, so much time later and a few real world distractions. I thought I'd bit of an update on these carbs. Now I was sure that I'd got these up when I was balancing the butterflies. I'm less sure that I have now, but I've given a base 0 bench balance. Base 0 bench balance. That sounds quite good actually. I've also measured up the air ends for pods. What's it doing? Okay. Where's it gone? Well, now the slight issue with pods, particularly with carbs, is you've got all the airflow, so they are actually, you know, air jets. That is an airflow. This is too small, it's a bad example. But you can see, you know, you've got the lip round the edge that will go round the edge. Obviously this isn't going to fit, it's too small. But it's the inner lip that causes all the issues because it blocks a lot of these carbs. I'm just going to work out how I'm going to get around that. Now, one possibility is to use the old rubber boots that went onto the airbox that obviously fit. Don't impede any of the elements, and leaves me a clamping surface around the edge to get the pod on. Or I could just make one big pod, or essentially making another airbox, which is a bit of an arse game, to be honest. I don't know yet. Don't know. Just thinking. The bit that I did dig in on, though. Let me see if I can find the chapter in my book, and it explains it a little bit better while I'm talking. Right, found it. It feels like Jack and Ori reading a book on my lap with you looking over my shoulder. So, you know, this is the Book of All Knowledge, Haynes Manual. And this is what I'd read before and just thought, yeah, fine, not a problem, I'll do what the book says. So on the exhaust system, yada yada yada, air fuel mixture screw, do not attempt adjustment. So I didn't. Seems strange, but then earlier in the book, what it's actually got under the elements is where are we? On this side, 650, all the jet sizes, etc., etc. Pilot screw setting datum 2.5 turns out, so it actually tells you what the setting should be, but then tells you not to fuck around with it, which is a bit strange. I hadn't touched it before. I just went through them then, dug them out, because they were quite, you know, gummed in, but because I wasn't going to touch them, I wasn't bothered. And I went through and I have unscrewed each all the way out, screwed each in. Oh, you don't need a screwdriver, you know what to screw in. Let me point. Screwed them all in, all the way in, and then all the way out, backed them out. Cleaned them through. Now that jet comes through to the top there. That was a bit mucky. Where's that come from? It's just dust blowing around in the air. Yeah, so it comes through. They were all over the place. So I had a 3.5, 4.5, 5, a 2.5, and a 2, I think. So they're all now, you know, base set at 2.5. And I'm going to try chucking it back on just to see how we look. But they don't look too bad at the moment. Now, I don't know if it's still going to do that high revving. There's only one way to find out, and that's to chuck them on and see. And not as clean as I thought they were, actually. But, you know, they got a good functional cleaning beforehand. They'll probably get another one before it gets anywhere near running. But I just want to see if it'll run. I also need to chuck some oil back in it, because obviously I've drained it out before. Right, let's get this bugger on. Right, so there we go. Bike looking quite skeletal. I've chucked in, well, the oil I took out before, actually. Bit of fuel. Just have the fuel on standby, because that's obviously with empty carbs. It's just gulp most of it up, filling up the carbs. And we have joy. yeah, cool. I tried to show you running. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the repair job that this exhaust has had on it, you know, shit. There's a big hole at the top there, but that's fine. There's nothing here that, you know, concerns me or that I can't fix, frankly. It just needs sealing up properly. Happy with that? Right. It's still running very, very revvy and high. But, I mean, you saw I chucked the cloth on the back. I don't know if that's just air restriction. Do not know. I suspect it probably is. But I think that's just going to be one to try out. A bit of trial and error more than anything else. But, you know, source is cool. I need to sort out that collection piece in the middle where they all join together. And see how that works out. Just strap it up a bit better. But it is a bit of a misfit to get on in the first place, so something that might have to be done when it's on the bike. This is the first, it's midday and my voice is going. Right, there we go, that's the oil drained out while it was warm. You can see on the old exhaust where it's failing, but I mean, it's entirely repairable. And for 21 quid, what can you expect in that more than anything else? They're a bit of a jiggery poker to get on. They're a pain in the arse because they cover the fucking the sump plug a little bit as well. But hey, right. So what next? Oh, I'm quite comfy here. Laid out on my driveway. So what was I saying? What next? Yeah, it's still doing that ramping thing. I think that's because of airflow as much as anything else, because you saw when I chucked a cloth over it, it calmed down a lot. I'm going to order some pods. I might leave the carbs on. I might drop the oil back in and just give it a go with it like that. I don't know. I'll see how I go for time. I think what I'm going to do now, though, not now, because it's end of playtime for today. I think the next job is going to be having a look at this seat, etc. Now, I've seen a lot of them with the flats. I now I've got a battery pack, haven't I, or a fake battery pack to work out sizes, scales and everything else. And it's just going to start to work out what I need to do and where. Now, obviously, without any of this section in here, this bracketing can all come off the frame, leave the frame nice and clear and clean and all that sort of stuff. I need to work out where things like the rectifier is going to go, probably there, somewhere in the open air. I've obviously got a new fuse box. Oh, it's about to piss down. Got a new fuse box to put in, etc. So I just need to try and, now I've come to terms with the fact that airbox is gone, take the battery out, have a look at the space, and then work out what I'm going to do with it. So it's going to be a bit more of a thinky one and a quiet one on the next one, which I'm sure my neighbours will be deeply appreciative of. Cheers all. I'll catch you later. Ta-da. There we go, that's the bike's away. It's me packed away just as it starts to begin to want to hack down. No surprise for a plenary for me, because I do it quite often. It tends to be because I think when I'm putting the bikes away, I think of things that I wanted to say and I forgot, and yada yada yada. I want to say a massive thanks, in case I didn't do it with enough volume at the beginning. Thanks for all the queries into my health. I'm all good, I'm just getting better. It's fine, I'm just on antibiotics and not drinking, which is the hardest thing at the moment, because of the antibiotics. But a further thanks, really, and I don't like singling out single subscribers, because it's kind of to the detriment of all the others of you. But there's one that I really want to say thanks to, and that's Stephen Walsh. Now, Stephen has been following me for as long as I can remember, and he comments on every single video, and that comment is generally emojis, a motorbike and a thumbs up. And it's I don't feel my videos, I don't feel my uploads be watched until I see that. So thanks, Stephen. It's fucking brilliant. On the broader way the channel works, it gets pushed further on more comments and this, that, and the other. Now, you may have noticed that I don't do that. Please like and subscribe. Please comment, etc., etc. I'm not trying to build a successful YouTube channel here. I'm videoing. I'm opening my garage and people are following my projects. So I don't really want to go down that please like and subscribe route. But part of the joys of this, and the reason I bring it up, I've just had an email and a bit of an exchange with a Dutch dude, with Ren, over whether or not you need to support your carbs. He's got a phaser project. I think he's still. I think it's Rat Boy he's following actually, rather than Tango that's finished, and Tango's still on his airbox. Querying, do you need to support the carbs because you're only holding them at one end? Do they anchor around? Now, my view is no, but you don't. There's more than enough anchorage on the manifolds to cope. But if you are going to support them, which viewer's choice, I'll suggest something with some elasticity in it rather than something rigid, so it doesn't rattle around. But I love conversations like that. That's what. So, whereas me saying this is just me, you're following my projects. It's not. It's interactive. You help me out. I give my opinion. If that helps out, then fantastic. But yeah, I love this. And another couple of people say maybe to take some time off YouTube if you're not feeling good, mate. Well, this isn't YouTube. This is YouTube. This isn't YouTube. This is my hobby that I happen to put on YouTube. So if I'm taking time off YouTube, I'm generally taking time off my hobby. If I'm taking time off my hobby, things have gone generally quite wrong. Final, this one. Cheers all. Ta-da.